We're at Imaginarium.
Check this shit out. Look at it. Bam.
Hey there, aspiring horror authors. It's another episode of Sako and the Moon, created by two self-published horror authors. Today, we're talking about the wonderful and fabulous Imaginarium convention in Louisville, Kentucky. I, myself, am Sako Toomey, artist and author and a bunch of other things, but we'll just mention that I'm self-published 3 times over. I've been working on my craft for decades, and now
I'm still just me. I'm the Moon. I'm the one L. Hearn. Published once, filmmaker, and all the other fun stuff. And the more important thing this time is we're in the same place for the first time.
We're making like physical contact with each other.
Look at this.
Look at this.
For the first time in the show's history, we are actually in the same place. And I think the fun part is we met a year ago at this convention. And then since the convention, we started talking, and it was in those conversations about publishing and formatting and networking and things like that that we decided to do this show in the first place. It's so apropos that we get to turn around and do an episode here, live, sitting side by side.
It's like an anniversary of sorts.
In a sense. It's our anniversary. Cue Tony, but we can't actually play it.
Friendiversary?
Well, anniversary just means it's happened. It's a year after it happened, so that's fine. It doesn't have any other particular meaning. But it's a really good song by Tony, but we can't play it because that'll be a copyright strike. I'm not really trying to deal with all that. Dope song though. Dope song.
Okay, so we are at Imaginarium in Louisville, Kentucky, which is a convention dedicated to speculative fiction. So it doesn't matter what genre you write in, you will find someone who knows more about the process than even you do.
And not only that, it's not specified to any one medium. So if you do novels, great. If you do film, great. If you are an actor, fantastic. If you rather do screenwriting, good. You want to make props? We got you. Imaginarium is literally for anyone who is a creative person and creates things. And one of the beautiful things that Steven Zimmer and Holly Philippi, the directors of the convention, they actively seek out, okay, what are people into? What do those people want to learn about? Like, not trying to be popular and like, oh, let's do the popular thing to get people to show up. It's like, what are people doing? What are we moving into? What are the conversations that creatives are having? And let's have those conversations here. Let's give people the forum to do stuff. AI is one of those conversations.
Yeah.
And there's AI panels, 2 of them this year. Because that's such a big hot topic when it comes to creatives, for example. And so this gives us a place in a forum where a fantasy writer and a movie maker and a songwriter can sit and discuss exactly how AI is going to impact you. Yeah. Or there are panels about marketing and networking. What was that panel that you were doing earlier today? The workshop you had.
Websites for authors.
Right. So I'm an author. She's an author. We're in a whole hotel full of authors. And one of the best things that we've had that we've learned from this show is that an author should have their own website where they can control where their material and how it's presented.
Yep.
And some people are going to be like, well, how do I do that? There's so many different platforms to do this on. How do I know this? How will I learn that? A workshop like the one put on by Sako earlier today. Yep. That's exactly how you would learn it. And you would come to Imaginarium, take notes. You walk away like, wow, now I have a resource on how to build and someone specifically to ask questions to if I need follow-up. And that is the most beautiful thing about this and other conventions is the connections with other people. Not only do you learn something, but you have contacts with people who can help you throughout the year. Like I said, communications between us after Imaginarium leads to collaborations and projects like Sako and the Moon.
Exactly. So it's an annual event in their 11th year, established to bring together fans, authors, and creators. It is July 19th through the 21st in 2024. It is typically held over a weekend, which is Friday through Sunday. And it is at the Holiday Inn Louisville East, Firstborn Parkway in Louisville, Kentucky.
And one of those things is like there are some other good conventions out there that have specified locations, and the fact that they stick in one location makes it really easy to plan.
Mm-hmm.
We have associates and friends who are like, wow, this thing that you guys keep talking about sounds so great. I want to go next year. And now the fact that it's in a specific spot in the same relative time in the year allows you to plan and plot. Okay, well, I need to travel to that city in that point in time. What does driving in a car look like from my place? Because for me, it's across town. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. Somebody, I mean, you never know. You might be driving through the mountains behind a house. Who knows? It can happen. I can't imagine who that would happen to.
Okay, so it's a 9-hour drive on a good day from DC to Louisville. And
A great story.
I go to Morgan Hazelwood's house. I hop in her car and we hop on 66 going west, and we are stuck behind a house that is on 2 flatbed trucks with a police escort and 3 like guider cars, and they're going 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, needless to say, it took them a while to get there. And they were happy to no longer be in a car.
3 hours going 40 miles an hour for 140 miles, and all of 66, part of 81, and at 2:05, like exit 205, that is where they got off, and I got a good sight of the house, so there was no sighting or anything like that. They do that later, but
so all of that to say that you can plan your route. Maybe driving isn't how you want to get here the following year. Maybe it's better for you to fly. Not today, because there's some kind of weird IT thing shutting things down today.
Crowdsource had a leak and a massive crash.
Yeah, and there's a lot of flights that got canceled. So dedicate to all the people from Imaginarium who aren't able to fly in. One of my favorite YouTube channels, Sandy Says Read, she couldn't make it in because she couldn't get the flight in because things were shutting down all over the place. It's definitely a different vibe here with so many people being out.
Yeah, but like a lot of the horror fan base, the horror author base is here, and
So many of them.
the cadre, as I so call them.
The cool kids.
The cool kids.
The cool kids.
Yeah, so we are banding together and spending as much time together as we possibly can.
It's been,
and like the before party, after party, after party.
It's been crazy. Like I was worn out waking up on the day of registration, which is today, because me and a bunch of horror authors, Don Guillory, James Sabata, S.A. Bradley, Laurel Hightower, we all went out on Thursday and went through walking through the forest and such. And Yes, horror authors really do that kind of shit. And it was a great experience, and but it's really good to just be around other people in the genre, not having to do the work. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is fun. I love this. Is my favorite thing to do on Fridays, and it's still the work, you know. But then when you get to leave and just sit out in the hotel lobby and joke and laugh and tell stupid stories, that's the
these
fun.
crowds and this crowd is so quick on the quick. Just like back and forth, one that was just one after the other. It is a great time, but if you can't keep up, like, I don't fault you for it.
In the end, though, but one of the best things about this is that you make such good friends, and those friends becomes really good allies. You get to partner up with different people. You get to have these sort of alliances, but it's not so much an alliance like you got to work together against anybody else. It's just like, these are your people, and you have that resource. These people are here to help you. These people are here to support you. And I get so much encouragement from people in other genres.
Yes.
There is Carol Preflattish. She works. She does like mystery and thriller. Um, Karma Haley Shoemaker. She does like romance and such.
Who is also branching into horror.
She is. So we might talk to her.
Bring her in.
Bring her in.
And pet
Our
her
beautiful little redheaded shoemaker.
And yeah.
Yeah, there's all these people from all these different genres that you get to line up and partner with. I have been talking with Barbara V. Evers, who is a well-known author around here. She does, I think that counts as fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
She has a book series that has like psychic drafts, and that's dope. But me and her had there was a certain interaction between her, myself, and horror author Tommy B. Smith, and there might be some future collaborations after that, based on that interaction from last year into next year. Yeah, there's an expansion here, and again, like that's a fantasy author and two horror authors and screenwriter, and Tommy's great people. He's just a good natured person. We were hanging
repeat customer.
You were hanging out with Carl Moore,
mm-hmm.
who's got a brand new book out with a beautiful cover.
Red December.
Excellent cover.
It is out now.
Beautiful.
We will be interviewing him about his book next season. So watch out for that episode.
And honestly, I'm going to go ahead and interrupt the show right now to say, if you haven't subscribed and you found this, now would be the time to do that. You should ring the notification bell, because there may or may not be small videos made this weekend where we're talking to a lot of these people for shits and giggles. Just to introduce them, just to ask them, hey, what's up? And I don't know, there might be something we're doing tonight.
There might be a birthday party.
There could be a birthday party. There could be an event. I mean, it won't be on YouTube. I don't know how they're going to see it.
It's going to be on Patreon.
So you should probably sign up for that too.
There is a link downstairs in the...
Just watch out for the cat on the steps.
So some of the things that are offered at this convention are panels and discussions, like
as we talked about.
They discuss their works and their genre. My schedule is 10 panels, and
she asked for all 10 of them.
I asked for 10 panels, and I thought they would whittle them down, and they didn't. So
she learned today.
I learned. And I did it early, so there were some really banging panels. Like the horror in metal music
It's actually happening right now, isn't
is
it?
happening as we speak.
That's Carl Moore, Jason William Allen, and a couple of other people. I have the book in front of me. I don't know why I wasn't ready for that. Yeah, Stephanie Lanham, Carl Moore, David Wade. He's also a good filmmaker, screenwriter, and actor. And that's another thing. Like, you just meet people here that you might need in your projects later on. So maybe if you're looking for a podcast host, I don't know why my brain stopped working, but maybe you're looking for a co-host. We found co-hosts. We invented a show from this. But maybe you're doing a film and you need an actor, or maybe you need an editor for the book you're writing, or you don't know, or you need someone to help you work on your website, or a graphic artist for your book cover.
Sabata, James Sabata, who is a fellow horror author, he introduced me to his editor today.
Yeah. So like that's the kind of connections that you make, and a lot of times because you're friends of a friend, yeah, they might just do you a solid. They might do you a solid. They might be like, hey, since you're so and so's friend, give me half off of that cover.
Yeah, right. I offer services for barter.
I suggest that around here a lot. Sometimes you can like trade books for books.
Which I'm doing with Carl Moore.
Awesome. I have to throw my book out there. My book's significantly smaller, so I'm not gonna get as much.
So Red December is like this fucking. So he's like, I'm willing to do trade if you do a review, and I'm like, I never get through this book.
And that's the thing, man. And that's the thing. Like, you realize one of the things that you get from the panels and some of the workshops is you learn what actually matters to the industry.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to some of the people involved, and you learn there's like, okay, I think I need to make a whole bunch of extra sales, so I'm gonna focus on all my sales and do this. Is like, well, focus on this, and then the sales will come. Focus on this energy, and the money will come through this way. I talked to Gene and Kyle from Jump Master Press. Not sponsored, but they should be.
Jump Master.
If you get a chance to like search Jump Master Press and find a publisher, just buy whatever is on their website. Buy everything. They have some special edition books, and I wish I had already bought one so I could show you, but they're not sponsoring, so I didn't. But they have some cool stuff. But the more important thing is, as a very successful publisher, they can give you very good tips on little things that you wouldn't have thought about. Little things. I'll tell you one of the tips they gave me last year.
The technology that is coming out.
Beyond that, let me tell you a little tip they had. They're like, hey, you can sell a book, right? I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, you'll make some money off the book sale. I'm like, okay, yeah. He's like, we sold the audiobook. We put the audiobook on YouTube for free. And I'm like, well, why would you do that? Like, why would you can't sell the book if you put it up there for free? He's like, well, you'll sell the book to people who want the book, that's fine. But if your book takes 8 hours to read and someone's going to listen to it on YouTube, that's 8 hours worth of watch time that your video is getting. That translates into revenue from YouTube. So if you're monetized, obviously. So if you have titles, in my opinion, that like maybe the physical copies aren't selling,
right?
Put the audiobooks on YouTube. Make sure you're monetizable, and then you can get the money from the watch times.
Not just that, but like you can get your watch time to become monetized this way.
And I was sitting here talking to Sandy Linder, and I was talking to Gene from Jump Master, and he told us that. And I'm like, that
I've heard that too.
Initially, makes no sense whatsoever to take a book that you're selling, put the audiobook online.
No, it makes perfect sense to me.
But then he explains it to you, and you're like, boom. And what I'm saying is, someone more into, like, she's 3 books in, I'm only 1 book in. So maybe it makes more sense to her. But to me, I learned something. And Sandy Leonard's got a whole bunch of books out, and she learned something. So you're looking around at all these people with these beautiful book covers and all these posters and things. And you're like, they've got all their stuff together. They are way into the genre of the field, and they're still learning things at conventions like Imaginarium. And you're just learning it not from the panels or the workshops, but just by talking to the people who happen to be next to you. And I go in and talk to Gene and Kyle every year, and I learn something brand new every year from those people.
It's not just like marketing techniques that they know. It's also like what's up and coming regarding technology, regarding our industry as a whole, and if that they have a way of evolving with the changing of the times, and thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, so it's the kinds of people that you will meet at Imaginarium. We are all professionals in some way or
And if they're not, they're all here learning.
they're learning.
And I came here originally as someone who knew absolutely nothing about, like, the industry of being a writer or an author. And I knew nothing. But within the 3 years, the 3 Imaginariums I've attended, I've become a published author, an award-winning screenwriter, and the host of currently 2, soon 3, good God, pray not 4, podcasts. There are talks. So, and I've guessed, there's a lot of things that you can learn and become and do. And I've done that in just the last couple of years. And that's from the people I've met here, the connections I've met here, just the love I feel here, and the comfort that you get from just being like, oh, these are the people in my industry.
Just
okay.
Last night we just hung out in the lobby and talked until 2:00.
It was like, what, 8 of us?
Yeah.
In the lobby of a hotel at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And that's normal. Like, we've done that.
And then like Carl R. Moore and I like went out to IHOP and like hung out until like 3:30 and dorked out about music and that was playing on the satellite, radio. In restaurants, it's usually satellite radio.
It's like a Muzak or something like that, yeah.
And it was all 70s rock.
Nice.
So we were like singing along and air guitaring, and Carl was like, I would totally break out my guitar,
which he did have with him.
He had with him, and start playing, but I don't want to make a scene.
Right.
So air guitaring suffice.
Well, like I said, I went walking through the forest with like 4 other horror authors. He's going to lunch and dinner with horror authors. Like, we're all just kind of hanging out, and we're all good friends. We all sit and laugh and joke and celebrate birthdays and do all of the things. And some of us need to go find a cake.
If Morgan is awesome, she picked them.
Is she already out doing stuff?
I don't know.
Probably true. So anyway, but these are the kind of things that happen. Mary,
I'm not going to check during.
That's fair. Like, I should have suggested that. I don't
podcast, but I will.
It is funny. It's funny enough. I might do it. Okay. But that's the point of all of that is to express the energy that you get if you come here. This is what you're going to have: a bunch of people hanging out, enjoying themselves,
professional friends. We're not just saying go to a con, make friends. I mean, you're gonna.
Yeah.
It's just like part of being at the con, and like as you can tell, I'm a little outgoing, so I make friends very easily.
I do okay. I'm
And
not.
Moon does
I'm
quite well for himself.
I'm a couple of people around here know who I am. Should have seen it this morning. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, like 4 people at once going like, Moon.
Like Moon. Oh, hey, so and so's calling you to get a hold of you. Hey, so and so's looking for you. Hey, you need to go do this. And the woman in front of me in line was looking. She kept looking back at me like, "Who is this guy?" And I'm like, I'm nothing special. It's just a lot of people happen to know who I am. It's cool. But I grabbed my portfolio real quick because I wanted to shout these people out just because I met them and they were kind of cool. Not sponsored, but it's a Word Weaver Pro, and the reason I'm bringing them up is because one, they seem pretty cool, and two, it's an online little program thing that helps you organize your notes when you're writing a book. So you'll get you can organize your chapters, organize your characters, do profiles and stuff like that, and it's web-based. I think there's a fee. I didn't get a whole lot of details, but I got some. You can look them up because that's why I showed you their little logo. But the reason I brought them up was because this is their first Imaginarium. So they're in that spot that I was in. So I kind of feel obligated to be like, hey, these are the people you're going to meet. It's cool. Get out and learn and meet them.
For one, they're just people. So Steve Jackson of Steve Jackson Games, who has been doing this for the past 30 some odd years.
I'm 40 years old, if that tells you, if that's comparative. Lifetime shit.
He is also the inventor of like Cyberpunk, the RPG. He did like Munchkin is his little passion project, like games galore, like RPGs galore, and card games galore. So he's here. This guy that I grew up playing his games is here. So I'm gonna fangirl out, and then we're gonna go have some beer.
And that's the kind of thing you can do here, because like you said, like something very, very important. They're just people.
Mm-hmm.
People seem to have like this celebrity aura about them sometimes, but they're legit just people. Bill Obrist Jr. is walking around here. He's just walking around, looking at people's booths and stuff. I've seen him. I haven't approached him or said nothing to him because I had nothing to say ultimately. But I don't want to be like, "Hi." That's it. Like I don't want to be that guy. But yeah, like this actor has been in a whole bunch of different projects. I've seen a movie or two of his, and he's just walking around, not protected by some kind of security, not stuck in a booth, not up on a high horse or being stuck up like you'd expect in some cases.
He's kind of treating the con as though he's enjoying it,
and he should be,
and experiencing it as like a normal con goer would experience it. Now, the upside to Imaginarium is that everybody writes. Everybody. And surely there are more writers in the area, no less, that don't know that this con exists.
And so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to talk about it, and we talk about it so much, because people deserve to know. Because there are people who are like, I need to reach an audience. The connects are here. Do you do comics? The connects are here. Do you write novels? The connects are here. Do you need an editor? The connects are here. A publisher maybe to entertain. Hillbilly's here. That's William Joseph Roberts from Three Ravens. Listen, I might get some heat from 7-Star, but there is no hotter publishing company as far as this convention is concerned than Three Ravens. Roberts, he goes by Hillbilly. The group of people that he has with him are some of the most successful, like award-winning authors from this con. You could not hear a category go by last year without a winner being from Three Ravens. Like not just being nominated or finalist, a winner from Three Ravens. Now you might be thinking, all of these award-winning authors in one publishing company, how would I ever get a connection to that? By walking up and talking to the guy himself. He's just here.
And
He's
they have
walking
like
around.
a coffee hour in the morning.
Yeah, because
and
he
like,
understands how important this marketing thing is. Like, hey, come down early, get some, come have some coffee, sit with us, chill with us, learn, talk biz, talk sports, talk shoes. I'm not wearing shoes. Talk shoes, and you know, talk, meet people. There's a guy here, and I had to look his name up. It was Michael F. Blake, and I heard his interview with Stephen and Holly on the Star Chamber podcast on Podbean, and he's been doing everything in the film industry for like 30 years, like everything, design, like makeup, acting, all of this stuff for like 30 years. Homie's just walking around. This is a guy with like 30 years worth of experience in Hollywood who's just hanging out eating a cheeseburger next to you. You know what I mean? He's just like, hey man, where's the bathroom? Oh, it's right there. Appreciate you, dude. And it's just like the guy that's there. And that's the part that I really need to emphasize, that when you go out and you're getting involved in this field, one of the most important things you can do is just get out into the field. Meet the other people who are doing things.
So Johnny Beyond,
John
Pica, he just put up a TikTok probably about his show tonight. He's telling ghost stories.
That's right.
In the Turfway room.
Yeah, there's like an
ballroom.
We do like an entertainment thing on Friday evenings, usually headed up by Jason William Allen, buddy of mine, part of
who will be doing the thing.
And they do the show, and part of that show this year is going to be John Pica telling ghost stories, because John Pica is a guy who you can't help but respect when you get to talking to him. He is knowledgeable about all things. He writes novels. I've seen some of his book covers the other night. Lovely, beautiful, bright colored book covers. John Pica does the ghost stories. I think he does tours down in Nashville. Nashville, Tennessee.
So if you're ever in Nashville and you want to go on a tour, on a ghost tour, Johnny Beyond.
John B. Pica, find Pica, and just mention Imaginarium. You can tell him that we sent you. That's cool. We might get some clout.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But I can't guarantee you a discount, nothing. But he'll be like, cool, thanks. And
here we go. Hillbilly Barcon. Three Ravens meet up at the bar for drinks, food, and fellowship.
And the
schedule.
Yeah. And that's because, here's the thing. Hillbilly wanted to ensure that you didn't just show up, because Hillbilly is one of these guys. He's a great dude who really gets it. He really gets what's behind the con. He's like, I don't want people to just show up, sit behind their table, and push their book. This is my book. It's $15. Thank you. Here's another book I'm working on. Like, he doesn't want that. He's like, no, that's not what we do here. He's like, no, we're going to get out. We're going to get together, put the books away for a moment. Hi, my name is. And like, get to know me, get to know you. Let me make sure you feel important and recognize that you matter in this space. And if you need something, say something. We got you.
Not just that, but I understand that more than half of our ilk are introverts. you can bond just over being an introvert. And if crowds bug you, there are plenty of spaces to go and like chill and decompress a little bit. Parties at night, and yeah, I'm a smoker, no surprise, but I have met amazing people just standing outside smoking my cigarette.
And I am a Kentucky boy, so drinking bourbon shouldn't be a surprise. And it's amazing who you can find yourself talking to over a good glass of bourbon. Now, if you
Totally
don't,
by accident.
totally by accident, that happened to me last year. I didn't talk to a guy for like another extra 3 or 4 hours because we happened to have a room next to each other. And this year, the moment he saw me, he's like, "Hey, I got some things I brought with me. I would love to share with you." And not only that, when I went to go talk to a mutual, he's like, "The guy loves you, man. Like he's been talking about you since last year." And that just shows the impact that you can have on. Now, this guy has like his name was um, his name was Clayton. I can't remember his last name right now, but he's got like 10 titles out, right?
That's a heck of a back.
He's got a lot of Clayton Barton.
Barton.
I want to say it's Barton.
That's the guy. Is that the guy who writes the Tybee Island?
No, that's Michael. No, this is the guy with the lemur on the table. The lemur tribe people thing. There's all these little groups. It's great. But you know, it's one you can make on such a.
I've only been coming since 21.
Me too.
So, like
21 was my first Imaginarium.
21 was my first Imaginarium. So it was right off the heels of the pandemic, and people were eager to reconnect.
And boy, can you do that here. And it's not just like we're a horror channel. We're horror authors. We hang with horror people. But we're also connecting with fantasy writers, screenwriters, actors,
romance
authors, gamers, game people. Like you connect with so many different people because in the end, we're all creative people.
Not just that, like there are these self-published romance authors that are just slaying it.
Shout out to Carol Preflatish. I love you.
And like, even if you are a horror writer, talk outside your genre and talk marketing, network, just person to person interaction, like.
Because we mentioned earlier that we had a friend of ours that's a romance author, but she's getting into a new genre. So where does she want to go to talk about this new space of hers? Imaginarium. How does she know who to contact? Because she met us at Imaginarium. Actually, I have a book for her over here on screenwriting.
Oh, great!
I need to give to her, so I need to catch up with her on that one. But like that's the beautiful thing about this con, and and not to ignore other conventions because there's
not by any means.
There's 101 conventions out there where you can do the same thing, but each convention is going to have something that's different. Some of them don't give you the same access to the highlighted stars. Some of the panels are a little bit more controlled. They're a little bit more professional, more strict. That's more accurate.
Strict.
More strict, more structured. But here it's kind of the understanding. It's like, listen, we're going to talk about this subject, and a good question might pop up out of the crowd mid panel, and then you're like, well, let's explore that. Well, I got an idea about that. Well, let's explore that. And now there's a whole lot of interaction. There was
it's a discussion.
There was a workshop I went to a couple years ago, and it became it was meant to be a presentation where she would have a PowerPoint and talk for 90 minutes.
90
Just
minutes.
90 minutes is like crazy. But with the subject matter, it was 90 minutes. The actual panel workshop went like 2 hours because we took it over and we started asking questions. We had comments, we had responses, and she was so knowledgeable about the subject that she was able to discuss it and answer our questions and bring it back in.
My workshop this morning, my presentation lasted 24 minutes. I was supposed to fill an hour, half an hour for questions and discussion. And we tore apart different communities that can kind of like help you out as an author. And I gave hints as to what to do with HTML5 regarding putting together your website and making it responsive and stuff like that. So, like, leaving space for the discussion to evolve.
Yes. Because you might, as a presenter, you might say, I'm going to discuss A, B, and C. You know what? This show's a great example of that. You come in with all these wonderful notes, this incredible list of information.
Yeah, today is different.
I'm not gonna lie to you. There's notes on another tab.
There's notes on another
behind
tab.
the screen. But it's one of those things
just...
because we know this con and we know what we want to discuss about and highlight from this particular con. The notes are kind of unnecessary. We're going to get to the important stuff. Now, before we close off, she's going to go over the list and she's going to make sure that
we covered everything. Which means this might be a long episode.
Not too long.
Not too long because I have a workshop at 3:45 for storytelling through tarot. So I gotta go set up and
so yeah, we're not going to hold you a whole long time, but the point of that is what you see on the show a lot is that there are always a bunch of notes and structured information that I come through and wreck things by just like, here's an ad-lib thought. And I'm sure she's going to actually strangle me a couple of times. Now she gets the actual chance to do it.
I've never wanted to strangle you for going on a tangent.
So there's been reasons she's wanted to strangle me, but that wasn't it. But again, there are things you want to talk about, and you get the ability to not just talk about them in the panel, but you can meet up with the person afterwards. Like, hey, can I buy you lunch or buy you a drink or just sit with you and discuss things?
Business cards, if nothing else.
I have a bunch of business cards.
I don't.
That people have given me.
Oh,
no, I have my business card over there. There's a big stack of them.
My box is empty.
I wish my box was empty because I wouldn't have to care.
So now I have to order a new business card.
I need to redesign, but I don't want to redesign with me having so many business cards.
Well, do the design and then sit on it.
I already have. I'm already sitting on it.
Oh.
I know. Yeah, I knew you'd say that.
Oh. Okay. I'm going to comb through here. There's cosplay. There's RPGs.
People wearing tails.
Yes. Birthday boys wearing tails.
We love you. We love you, S.A. Bradley.
We love you. Let's see, role-playing games. There is, or like Steve Jackson is here. So if you want to play Munchkin with the inventor of Munchkin, you can.
Just conceptually, imagine if you could go play Monopoly with the guy who invented Monopoly.
Or D&D with Gygax.
It's nuts. Like, this is an opportunity once in a lifetime that you're not going to get just anytime. Right? You can't just walk down the street and just like...
There's a vendor area where there are author signings and meet and greets and readings and...
I'm doing a reading this year.
A lot. You're doing a reading?
I'm doing an author reading on Sunday.
When?
3:50. That'd be cool.
But I would love to come and support you.
I appreciate that.
Let's see. Networking opportunities. It's so diverse. It's not just like, oh, not to badmouth Balticon.
We're not bad mouthing anybody.
We're not bad mouthing anybody.
Everybody's different and reaches a different space.
But
Balticon has a different audience.
But the diversity here, there are just as many women as men. They're
almost maybe more.
They're like just the two of us make it diverse.
Yeah, it's
right?
just us. We're the only two diverse characters in the entire no, and that is actually one of those things that when you get into it, as a woman, if you're belonging to any
not
minority
just a woman,
group,
but a minority.
You're in any part of like any minority group, and that's people of color, women, members of the LGBTQ community.
Hey, I check all those boxes.
Then you may feel like, oh, I don't know if I would be comfortable in this space.
There's like 3 panels on just LGBT stuff.
Yeah.
And writing LGBT plus content.
And the representation
and writing diverse characters. I heard over people talking about that panel, which happened earlier today. And these are the kinds of things you can look forward to.
And I've walked through and I've seen about 2 or 3 booths of Black authors.
Hmm.
And I can tell you, as someone who's been here in the last couple of years, there hadn't been 2 or 3 tables of Black authors. And so it's nice to see that the word's getting out, that people are understanding that this is indeed a safe place. There is zero tolerance for bashing any group of persons. And I love that. Like, we know the security staff and we've talked to the directors, and they make it very, very clear that if you are a decent person, you are welcome at Imaginarium. And to see the people walking through and learning how they identify and the culture that they represent and the life they live, their backgrounds, their experiences, their histories, they're all here, all openly talking about their experiences. And it is such a heartwarming, beautiful thing to know that anyone can walk through these doors and find Imaginarium to become their home.
Yeah.
It became my home instantly.
And it's got, you're just on the other side of town, so it's kind of your home.
Well, convention. Imaginarium particularly feels like a home convention.
It's a family environment.
Yeah.
And bring your kids.
It actually is a family-friendly event. It is an all-age event. We probably should have mentioned that. It is indeed an all-age event with some over 18 panels in it.
And there are tabling authors who specialize in children's books.
Yeah, so if you are like, well, I would hate to go and not be able to bring my 13-year-old, John Guillory has his daughter here who is nominated for a book. They are the youngin is a nominated author now. So I'm still praying for them to win. I would love for that girl to go back to school and say I'm an award-winning author. Imagine that at Imaginarium. Like, it's an amazing thing to just see, and
I aspire to win something at Imaginarium. Instead, what is happening is I am performing
at the awards
fusion belly dance at the awards show.
And honestly, not the first time they have belly dance like every year.
Mm-hmm.
And they have Pika doing magic, they have belly dancers, they have some music. We're doing karaoke afterwards. There's karaoke tonight.
Yep.
I'm not singing. But
I might.
You do not want me to sing.
You want me to sing.
You want me nowhere near that microphone. she'll sing Dolly Parton. I don't know what
Pat
she'll
Benatar,
she'll
but
sing 9 to 5. Like we're gonna air her singing Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. I'm not holding
Pat
her.
Benatar.
I'm not gonna hold her to that, but that just shows you like the diversity of things that are happening here. And if you can't tell by our tone, if you can't tell by the levity of our attitudes, we're comfortable here.
Past guests.
Me.
Harry Brooks was the guest of honor last year.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dacre Stoker.
And yes.
Dacre Stoker.
Who is Bram Stoker's
great grandnephew.
And they picked up the torch for Dracula and is carrying it into the new generation.
Yeah, Stoker on Stoker is doing some crazy stuff, man.
Doing some crazy stuff. So, big deal.
Terry Brooks was a huge deal last year.
Terry Brooks was a huge deal.
Like that was I wasn't as familiar with his work, but I have friends that were.
I am.
It's kind of like seeing you with Steven Jackson, and just being around people like, I can't believe this is Terry Brooks. Because to some people, this is the writer that inspired them to write.
So Terry Brooks was the guest where people brought like 20, 30 books for him to sign. And while I understand why someone would want 30 books signed, maybe don't bother the author to 1 book, 3 books.
I'll tell you, like the people are here, they're comfortable, they understand what's going on. Holly tells me that she gives them a heads up. Like she's like, hey, we don't really want you to feel like you have to be stuck in a bubble or stuck in behind your table. You feel like you want to get out and meet people and mingle, that's cool. Be accessible. However, let's not abuse the privilege. I did kind of like a couple years ago. A friend of mine was a huge fan of Jeff Strand. And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm a huge fan of his." So James Sabata knows him. So I met him. I talked to him earlier, and then she ran up to me, and I was like, "Oh, hey, Jeff, this is my friend Kat. I'll be right back." And I left. And she was mad at me and thankful at the same time, because this is someone who writing has meant a lot to her. And she got a chance to actually just stop and talk with them. Like, imagine that.
This is talking about a different con, but there is a publishing con called Small Press Expo in Maryland, and I met Ross. It is now Sylvia Ross.
We'll go with that.
They have transitioned since then. My friend Lamar, who I went to college with, who also worked on Steven Universe, like the art was based on his style. And it was I don't know how to put it. Like, we traded art, and this artist inspired me in such a way as a teenager that, like, it changed the way I drew people in general. Like, it changed the way I perceived the world and translated it to line. Like, it was so profound to meet this artist and this author, like, because I had been reading their work for since I was a teenager,
A
and
wee little less.
a wee little less. And like, I'm not as young as you might think I am, but
I'm
like,
totally older. It's
so Imaginarium overall is probably my favorite convention. If nothing else, well, part of it is the kind of information that I like to put together is targeting authors specifically, whether they are self-published, whether they are traditionally published. Like, I do marketing for authors, and like, my audience is here. My niche is here. And as podcasters, our niche, our audience is here.
and the people who know the things that we don't are here. If you aren't a published author, if you're just some young or older person who's like, you know what, I've always had this idea to write a book. I would love to take this cool idea that I had and write that down and make a novel out of it. But a lot of people don't because they don't know how. They legit like, I don't know what I would do with this. How should I structure it? What
It's
am I?
hard.
How do I
It's
develop my
hard.
characters? How do I make it? How do I get a publisher? How do I get an agent? If you have
So
any of those questions, there is probably a panel this weekend that would answer all of those questions for you.
5 p.m., 7 Layers of Plotting workshop presented by Carrie Fay, 60 minutes long, in the Triple Crown room.
See? And these are, like I said, there are people. If I walked in here having no basic idea of what I was doing, but in just I would say a relatively short period of time, I've picked it up, put it to pen to paper, put the craft out there in the world, and now I have part of my buddy's table has got my books on it on sale for $5, and the point of all that is, you may be afraid to go out and do something. You might feel like you don't belong in this space. But I will leave you with 2 quotes. One is what was told to me as I was coming to my first Imaginarium. And that was, everyone that you would want to know, you'll meet them here. And just that quickly, I forgot what the second quote was.
Lol.
I know. I'll think about that in a minute. I'll put it on social media by
Okay. So here's to Steven Zimmer and Holly Philippa, who spearhead an event like this and offer it to their neighborhood. And people like Carl Moore, who comes in from New York, and Tommy, who comes in from Arkansas, and me, who comes in from DC.
Andy Leonard normally comes in from Florida. Carrie would have came in through from Florida. Sabata comes in from Arizona. S.A. Bradley comes in from California. Don Guillory drives in from Mississippi. There are so many people who travel literally across country to be here and spend 3 days amongst each other.
Like minds.
And there is nothing more inspiring and encouraging than, I'm really mad I can't think of that second quote. It was good. But there's nothing more inspiring and incredible as just being around people who think like you, who are creative as well, who will bounce ideas off of each other in like creative fits of genius.
Mm-hmm.
It's dope.
I know there are probably a few people that I personally know who go to the panels, who go to the tables and socialize with all the authors and everything like that. Ginny will be here next year, along with Katerina Albrecht.
A whole bunch of people that we know are looking into coming next year because they want the same inspiration we're talking about. I think I remember the other quote. It's funny enough, it was a me quote, and it's has to do with if you feel like you may not belong, if you're not ready to come to a space like this. I tell people all the time that I forgot my own quote. You belong in whatever room you're in. If you're in the room, you belong there. Because if you didn't belong there, you wouldn't be there.
Right.
And what that basically means is, if you don't feel like, oh, I shouldn't be amongst all these professional writers, these published authors, I don't do the thing. It's like, well, at some point they didn't do the thing either.
You got to suck at something before you get good at it.
And you become good at it. How do you become good at it? Primarily watching this amazing podcast every week at Friday. On Friday at either noon or 2, and depending on whatever time we try to put on there. Probably season 3, we're probably going to lean towards. But we'll see how that plays out.
We'll see.
See, if you if you hit the notification bell for always on, then you're going to know when the show comes on because YouTube will probably tell you. But that's the thing. Like, if you are nervous about being in this space or any other Balticon, or what was the other one that you mentioned, the publishing one?
Oh, Small Press Expo.
Small Press Expo, or like a horror con like Scarefest or Scares That Cares or Spirit of Giving, whatever they're doing out there. Go, be in the space, because it's 2024 now. Mm-hmm. 3 years ago, I walked into this building. I knew one person, my buddy Jason, who asked me to come. I knew one person.
Morgan.
This year, I'm standing in the registration line and I'm already talked to like 6 people at once surrounding me because Moon walked in the room. And there's no better feeling, not because you're like all braggadocious or whatever, like, oh, look at me, I'm so important. No, it's the fact that you walk into a space and people cared enough to remember who you are.
Yep.
People cared enough to say, hey, I know you. I wanted to see you again this year. We had such a great time talking last year. Hey, I'd love to work with you. I've had some people come and say, hey, I want to work with you on something small, something as small as a small game we're going to probably play through this con, to panels we want to pitch for next year, to collaborative projects to do on the side that will eventually be marketable projects, or dope-ass podcasts like Sako and the Moon. Whatever it is, these are the things that happen. And they all happened. I showed up one day on a Friday to this con. I registered and did my little admission. I walked through and I met people and talked. And my entire life changed. And that's just me, man. I ain't nobody for real. And I don't know why the thing thumbs up comes for like the emotions that don't add up to what they're supposed to be. It's crazy. Like, I don't mind it. It doesn't. I didn't mind it. You can't turn it off. I was just saying, like, I don't know what I'm doing to make it do the thing.
It registered that your thumb was up.
But even when I held my thumbs up, it still didn't do it. See?
Well,
I know.
Yeah.
But, and see, thumbs up all of a sudden this is the weirdest thing. Apple products sponsoring. That would be the funniest thing if I got sponsored by like Prime Energy and
so Apple. I have a panel in 10 minutes.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. So why don't you?
So if you haven't subscribed, I strongly recommend you do so.
That should have been done already. But
yeah, you should do it now. That's the cost. The tuition.
Yeah, hit like. That's fine. I did it on purpose.
And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
We're at Imaginarium next year.
We're this year. Hey, There's 2 more days of this.
There are 2 more days of this. Yeah, just showing up. It's
Just
cool.
come on over.